I never believed in vampires. To me, they were just characters in old books and cheesy movies. But one night, everything I thought I knew about the world was shattered. It was a late night walk, something I did often to clear my head after a long day. The city streets were quieter than usual, cloaked in a thick, eerie fog. I remember turning down a narrow alley, a shortcut I'd taken 100 times before. That's when it happened. I didn't see it coming. There was just a sudden, cold presence behind me, then a sharp, piercing pain in my neck. It was so fast, so disorienting. I stumbled, my vision blurring at the edges. I caught a fleeting glimpse of a dark figure, elegant and swift, melting back into the shadows. My hand went to my neck, and when I pulled it away, my fingers were sticky with blood, two small, perfect puncture wounds. I told myself it was an animal, maybe a stray dog, anything but what my gut was screaming it was. I scrambled home, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs, and collapsed into bed, trying to convince myself it was just a strange, terrifying dream. When I woke up the next morning, I felt different. The wound on my neck was gone, completely healed without a trace, but it wasn't just that. The sunlight streaming through my window felt like a physical assault, burning my eyes with an intensity I'd never experienced. I slammed the blinds shut, my head throbbing. The usual smell of my neighbor's morning coffee was overwhelming, a potent, almost nauseating aroma. Every sound from the street below, a car horn, distant chatter was amplified, grating on my nerves. It was sensory overload, and it was terrifying. The first few days were a blur of confusion and denial. I tried to live my life as normally as possible, but everything was off. Food tasted like ash in my mouth. I had no appetite, yet I felt a gnawing, unfamiliar hunger deep within me. It wasn't for food, it was a craving, a primal urge for something else, something I couldn't name. Sleep became impossible. I'd lie awake all night, my body buzzing with a strange, restless energy. I felt stronger, faster. I accidentally snapped a door handle off its hinges and found myself able to lift heavy boxes at work without breaking a sweat. My colleagues were impressed, but I was scared. This wasn't me. My reflection became a source of dread. My skin grew paler, almost translucent. My eyes, once a familiar brown, seemed to hold a new, unsettling light, especially in the dark. I started avoiding mirrors, avoiding people. The hunger was growing stronger, more insistent. It was a constant thrumming in my veins, a low growl in the back of my throat. I started to understand what it wanted. The scent of a coworker's paper cut, the sight of a scraped knee on a child in the parquet sent a jolt through me, a wave of desire so powerful it made me dizzy. I was losing control. One evening, I was at a crowded subway station. The press of bodies, the heat, the myriad of scents, it was a nightmare. A man next to me was talking loudly on his phone, and I could hear the rhythmic pulse of the blood in his veins. The sound was deafening, hypnotic. The hunger surged, a ferocious beast clawing at the inside of my chest, screaming to be let out. My vision tunneled, my gums ached, and I felt a sharp pressure as if something was trying to push through. I dug my nails into my palms, drawing my own blood. The coppery taste, a weak substitute, but enough to break the spell for a moment. I bolted from the station, gasping for air, shaking uncontrollably. I knew then that I couldn't ignore it any longer. I was changing into a monster. Desperate for answers, I fell down a rabbit hole of ancient folklore and occult websites. Most of it was nonsense, but buried deep in an obscure forum, I found stories that mirrored my own. People who had been turned. They spoke of the change, the agonizing process of a human body adapting to the vampiric condition. They described the heightened senses, the aversion to sunlight, the insatiable thirst. They called it the frenzy, the initial period where the hunger is all-consuming and nearly impossible to control. Reading their accounts was both terrifying and a strange relief. I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't alone. The forum offered advice, survival guides written by those who had walked this path before me. Rule number 1, control the hunger. They talked about finding alternative sources, about learning to manage the cravings through intense discipline and meditation. Animal blood, they said, could sustain a fledgling vampire, though it was a poor, unsatisfying substitute for the real thing. It sounded gruesome, but the alternative, hurting someone, was unthinkable. My first attempt was clumsy and sickening. I bought a steak from a butcher's shop, my hands shaking as I squeezed the blood into a glass. The smell was rich, but the taste was flat. It quieted the beast inside me, but it didn't satisfy it. It was like drinking lukewarm water when you're dying of thirst. Living a double life was exhausting. By day, I was a ghost in my own apartment. Hiding from the sun, my world shrunk to the four walls of my darkened room. I quit my job, telling my boss I was dealing with a sudden, severe illness. By night, I became a creature of the shadows. I'd walk the city for hours, learning its hidden rhythms, feeling the pulse of life around me. I practiced controlling my new abilities. I learned to move silently, to scale walls with an unnatural grace, to hear a whisper from a block away. I was becoming something more than human, but I felt less human than ever. The loneliness was a crushing weight. I needed connection, someone who understood. Through the forum, I arranged to meet another vampire. Her name was Alara. We met in a derelict cemetery, a cliché that wasn't lost on either of us. She was ancient, her eyes holding the weight of centuries. She had a calm, almost serene presence that instantly put me at ease. Alara became my mentor. She taught me what the forums couldn't. She taught me about our history, our weaknesses, and our strengths. She helped me hone my senses, turning the overwhelming cacophony of the city into a symphony the first could navigate. Most importantly, Alara taught me about control. She showed me how the hunger wasn't just a physical need, but an emotional one. It fed on anger, fear, and despair. To control the thirst, I had to control my own mind. We spent countless nights in meditation, focusing my thoughts, building mental walls to contain the beast. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. There were times I failed, times the hunger flared up, and I thought I would break. But Alara was always there, a steady anchor in my storm. She showed me that being a vampire didn't mean I had to be a monster. It was a choice I had to make every single day. Slowly, painfully, I started to find a new kind of balance. I learned to feed responsibly, sourcing blood from blood banks. It was sterile, cold, and devoid of the life force I craved, but it kept me alive and kept others safe. I found a strange peace in the night, a sense of belonging in the quiet darkness. I still mourned the life I had lost, the warmth of the sun on my skin, the taste of a good meal, the simple joy of growing old with someone. But I was no longer just a victim of a curse. I was a survivor. This new existence is a tightrope walk over a chasm of monstrous instinct. Every day is a test of my will. The hunger is never truly gone. It's a shadow that walks beside me, a constant whisper in the back of my mind. But now I know how to silence it. I am not the person I was, but I am not the monster I feared I would become. I am something in between, a creature of the night defined not by the bite that changed me, but by the choices I make in the darkness. My name may be forgotten by the sunlit world, but in the shadows, I have found a new purpose, to guide others who stumble into this darkness, to show them that even after the bite, you can choose to hold onto your humanity. Thank you for watching my story. If you've ever felt like you're losing control to something bigger than yourself, remember that your choices define you, not your circumstances. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if this resonated with you. Stay safe out there.